free never sounded so good. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
Yeah, that's right. We are live on a Saturday. Great to have you with us. 2 hours of infotainment is what we offer you up every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate style. I see you out there. 92.1, 101.7. Thanks for always raising the banner. We appreciate you very much. We also live stream on a Saturday. That's right. Today's the, is it the 28th today? Yeah. Does that feel right?
Sure.
That's
is.
right.
Exactly right.
Mm-hmm. Feeling good about myself now. 28th live on a Saturday, live streaming. Find us on Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. On YouTube as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. Home of a ton of informational chunk videos, plus our live stream on a Saturday morning. Great to have you with us at the gates. I got a toll-free number if you'd like to be a part of the program. Questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. Want to dive into the question at hand or the comment? Maybe you want to just get involved into the conversation? Dial it up, 877-927-6969. The first voice you'll hear, the melodious tones of our producer extraordinaire, Jimothy, my brother from another mother.
Hello. Hello, and good morning, Mr. C. How are you today?
I'm pretty all right, my dude. Good to see you as always.
Good to see you as well.
Missed you last week.
Yeah.
Pulled in the parking lot. There was nobody here. I'm an idiot.
I was here too, so don't worry.
I wonder if you came after. You were here before me, clearly.
Yeah.
You know, I showed up right on time.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to see you, my dude.
Good to see you as well, bud.
I'm your boy, Johnny C., your old buddy, your pal, your air traffic control. Let's get your starting lineup on a Saturday morning. Always a pleasure to say good morning to my friend and yours, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. There's Mike Rauch. Hello, Mike.
There he is. Good morning.
What's up?
Hi. So you showed up.
It did.
And Jimothy showed up. The two professionals.
Here's the best part. So the emails went out. We knew the Gator schedule. I'm a Gator fan.
Yeah, you knew
factor.
there was a game that day.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well aware. Still, alarm went off. Just went through the motions. Pulled up in here. And you know when there's no cars here, you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then it just hit me like a ton of bricks.
And then you're like, gee, this is a Saturday. I could have. What did you miss out on?
I didn't miss out
Some
on anything.
Z's?
You know, I mean, I guess maybe a couple of extra Z's. You know what it was? I got home and I banged out all of my chores before the girls even got up. So it was just like
awesome.
It was winning.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't feel bad about it. I felt like an idiot, but
then the ladies wake up and everything's all shiny.
Done.
Don't have to nag you.
New. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Pretty good, right?
And he went back to bed.
And then I went to sleep. That's
If I woke
Daddy's
up
taking
an
a nap.
hour, if I woke up an hour earlier every single day, imagine
the
what could be
productivity.
accomplished.
Yeah. It'd probably just be an extra cup of coffee, but let's whatever.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, sleep's important. That's for sure. Always good to see you, my friend.
Yeah, you too.
Michael.
And it's always good to say good morning to our fearless leader. It's 12 plus years now. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations. You find the Florida Home Pros team. And my guy, Jimmy D. Jim DePola, how you be?
Hey, I'm doing okay today. I'm glad we didn't have the show last week because I got felled by COVID.
Oh, the vid.
Yeah, the vid. I got the vid. So I'm not contagious today. Doctors told me it was okay to be here, so everything's okay.
I didn't see the doctor's note.
Are you? When's the last time you had a vaccine? Do you do it regularly or just like back in the 2021
I had two vaccines when they came out. Whenever you're supposed to take them, I took the two vaccines, but I got really bad tinnitus from it.
Oh,
I believe I got tinnitus from it because I didn't have tinnitus before it. So
that's ringing in your ears, right?
Yeah, ringing in your ears, and it's pretty loud.
It sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I haven't taken any more of the vaccines. And the weird part is since 2017, I was telling Johnny off air, I have not had a cold since 2017 until 2 months ago. And then I had RSV.
Oh.
And then I had a regular flu. A month later,
3 in a
then
row.
About a month after that, I got COVID this weekend. So
That's
you're
good.
sick.
There's nothing left out there
I
for
was
you.
gonna say your immune system is flexing
Yeah,
right
done.
now.
Yeah,
What else
so-
you got? Let's
Well,
go.
my body
And I'm not
feels-
surprised though. I mean, you lick all the railings everywhere we go. When I ask you to hit the button in the elevator, you hit it with your tongue. I'm like, Jim, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
But it's more fun, John.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
It's so funny. So if I sound a little weak today, if you can hear in my voice, that's what's going on. But I'm getting stronger every day, and I'm here and alive and kicking. So
Alive and
awesome.
kicking.
Yeah.
Good to see you, buddy.
So thank you. Man, I feel so bad for everybody in the hurricane. We got to start off with that first. It was just
Wow.
horrible. I read in the
Unreal.
papers 44 people killed so far.
Yeah.
Reported killed.
Wow, that number has jumped up.
Yeah,
I
huh?
know,
Yeah.
right?
Lord.
Yeah, it was a couple.
Yeah,
Couple
244.
Something like that. Wow.
It's-
Well, state. We're
No,
multiple
we're talking
states here.
all the states.
We're
all
going
the states.
Georgia,
Mhm.
Carolinas. We're talking
Mudslides in Carolina.
Yeah,
I've seen
and,
some videos of that today, and holy smokes, houses just floating away.
So sadly, they've had so much rain before the
Yeah.
storm, and then as probably everybody knows, but as the storm hits that elevation, it just wrings those storms out.
Yeah.
It's just horrific.
And
They know it's coming too. There's just not much you can do.
Yeah.
in some of the communities that were hit this time in that I'm sorry, up by Pensacola, what do they call it? The curvy part, Gulf
Panhandle
Coast.
to Bend.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm
Big
sorry.
Bend.
My mind's
Bend,
going to be a little rough today. Um,
Welcome to the club.
three. I know, right? Three of those. This is the third hurricane they've had in 1 year. Right?
Yeah, they've been recovered from.
Yeah, they haven't recovered. So this is just devastating, and I feel so bad for the families. It's just horrible watching it, and I can't believe how big that storm was. Can you believe where the storm was? It was like in Tampa, and we were feeling the effects here on this
Yeah.
side of this,
Mhm.
of the
Yeah, she was-
coast.
she
To
was
me, it was
big.
just amazing.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just totally amazing.
And how close it was to a high tide. I mean, just, too many things at once that they were getting. I mean, it's bad enough that you get that kind of storm surge, but when you get it at high tide,
Yeah.
damn.
Well, unfortunately, missed the king tide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just pray for everybody out there. I really feel like this is going to continue to affect our homeowners insurance really bad because it hit such a big swath of the state.
Yeah.
It wasn't really compartmentalized in a little tiny part of the state.
It's funny you say that. Was as you're watching the devastation, like my first thoughts are, man, for all the families, the generations that have held on to their coastal properties for as long as they could, they can only take so much. And I think there's going to be a breaking point for so many where now they just can't afford to rebuild at some point. And then, that generation of holding on to that land, it eventually just slips through their fingers. It's so tragic to think about it. I hope these people can hold on.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
probably had to make like cutbacks in their insurance coverage, right? Like
Yeah.
Oh,
just to keep it affordable through the years, they probably had to
wonder.
take maybe the type of coverage they didn't necessarily want or didn't suit their needs. And
Or possibly self-insure,
Yeah,
if it's
sure.
been in the
No
family that
insurance.
long.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so rough to think about.
So it's just it's going to be a rough year for those
Yeah.
for everybody, and in so
Or
many
couple.
different states, that got hit. I couldn't believe how powerful it was as it went from Florida to North Carolina. I mean Georgia, North Carolina. How strong it still was up there.
Yeah.
I don't think it hit South Carolina, right?
I think
it
they
was
got some
Western
effects
a
from it.
little
Yeah,
bit
for
of it.
sure.
Yeah.
Did you guys see any of the video? Our house, we used to every morning we put on HLN. It was Robin Mead,
Mhm.
and she hasn't been there. HLN doesn't do their morning. It's probably been maybe 2 years now. But that was our morning routine. It was on. Robin Mead was like a part of the family. Bob Van Dillen was the weather guy on there, and my wife would probably leave me for Bob Van Dillen. I'm telling you right now, she loves that guy.
that's her. So what's that?
Oh yeah, the
Or
little
hall
free-
pass or
free
something.
pass,
Yeah,
hall pass.
So
Right,
it's
yeah.
not that he's necessarily like super stunning, right? She might find him attractive, I don't know, but he's just the coolest dude. He just is amazing. This guy now works for Fox News or Fox Weather, and he's in Atlanta. So he's doing this shot, and the water behind him is just, the road's just shut down. It is massively flooded. And he's hearing this screaming from behind him. He's live shot screaming.
Oh,
from
that
behind him.
video.
Yeah.
Okay, now I know which one you're talking about. I
There's a
saw
woman
this.
in a car, and the water's rising and rising. She can't swim. He calls 911, right? And she's just screaming. And he's live shot. He's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm sorry. He wades out like chest deep water, he opens the car door, get out of your seatbelt. She can't swim. Throws her on the back, wades her out. It was like full on superhero stuff on
Wow.
live
Yep.
TV.
Wow, that's amazing.
Oh, it was amazing.
When was that? Do you remember which one?
Yesterday.
Oh no, this happened during this storm.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
no, I didn't understand you were saying this storm.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah. Super cool.
what an
moment.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
This is the same guy.
Bob Van
Mhm.
Dillen.
Oh,
Yep.
wow.
Superhero.
Now
Make
you're
you
really-
jealous?
yeah. Now you're really screwed.
No,
up.
now I want to get in this pants.
Nice.
Yeah. Now we have a menage a trois lined
Oh,
up.
wow.
Yeah, I never thought it was going to go that way, but whatever.
Have you guys texted him? You reached out?
Yeah, on IG, everything. Yeah, we're just waiting
He
for a
probably
return.
has an IG.
Oh yeah, we follow him on the IG.
Okay.
Hey, one of our longtime fans and listeners and a former customer, Muriel, just said still power out in Salem, Salem, South Carolina.
Mm.
So Muriel we
Yeah.
just sold her property recently. She moved up there.
See,
So-
our biggest worry, Isabel's
Thank you,
up
Muriel.
in Tallahassee. And
Oh,
so
that's
like that
right.
night,
I didn't even think.
what
of
night was that? So Wednesday night, like it was direct hit. They were talking
Right.
category 4, category 3, but you just knew it was going to be a mess. They don't get a ton of, heavy storm direct hit stuff. And so, Wednesday or Tuesday, we had talked about like, are they staying? Are they going? And, they're like, we're going to ride it out. And I'm like, he'd probably be okay. Come Wednesday night, I was like, oh man, I really should have.
Yeah, we should.
I should have pushed harder to get them to come down, but turned out it wasn't much for them.
All's well that ends
Yeah,
well.
it wasn't much
Yeah,
for them.
they-
I don't
they
even think
turned
they,
at the
power,
last
power
minute.
flickers, nothing crazy. So I woke up,
Really?
I was kind of like
Wow.
up through the night trying to get updates.
I bet.
At some point, she stopped replying. I'm like, okay,
Went to sleep.
fell asleep.
Yep.
Right, nothing crazy. Fell asleep, and then
No hurricane parties. She's in college. I mean, you used to always have
they
the
were-
hurricane party.
I think they were, they had some people who came to stay in their apartment, and so they were,
Right.
whatever they were doing their thing. They're young
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
so
Yeah, of course. Have fun.
but it was, I woke up that morning like, it took a right turn, slowed down, not slowed down, but power down. Right, it was like when it hit there, it was not much for them. Not
Yeah,
much.
and-
So we lucked out in that regard.
And it was the forward motion on that thing was pretty rapid too.
yeah,
so,
it was moving quick.
yeah, which is good news for a lot of folks. But yeah, it's interesting times and a lot of recovery ahead. And
It's those spots that just never get storms, and all of a sudden they're not, they don't have the infrastructure and they don't have the team of, repair crews out there doing things. And so
it is amazing to watch this state, though. Man, this state prepares phenomenally. You see everybody staging. You just see it everywhere. All the linemen ready to go. The governor never hesitates to pull the trigger on preparation. Like you just don't see that stalling in this state. So always a hats off to Florida. Individual preparation. It looks like a lot of people waited until it was like, here it comes. Because man, the shells are getting pretty wiped out, but at least they're prepared.
And 5 of the deaths in Florida were in one county where they were supposed to evacuate the people didn't leave.
Yeah.
So
Terrible.
yeah, I remember when I was in Hurricane Andrew down in Key West, and it was coming. Everybody thought it was going to head to West Palm. So I was in Key West taking a vacation, a much deserved vacation, and we decided to stay. And I remember a trooper coming to our door at our hotel and knocking on the door, says, "You leaving?" And we're like, "No, we decided we're going to tough it out." He goes, "Okay, here's your toe tags."
Yeah.
Write out all the information, and he gave us toe tags.
Really?
Yeah.
And did you fill it out?
We decided to leave, and that was
That's a pretty eye-opening
We didn't
moment.
leave right that minute. We still held, but hours and hours later, we decided to leave, and by then we were like on the tail end of everybody leaving. And when you were going up US 1, it was only one way, and man, by the time we were going the way that we were getting the outer bands, and I remember sitting on some of those bridges, like just stuck there, and the bridges shaking. Like you could feel the bridges moving, and we're like, I don't know if the bridge is going to collapse or not. And that was like just the outer bands of Hurricane Andrew.
Do you remember the toe tag? Did it have like a wire connector? You're
No,
supposed to like
it was a rubber band kind of
Okay.
thing, and it was just about like this big.
I'm
It
just
was
trying
like-
to like put myself
Yeah.
in the
I
moment.
probably
was like
keep that
half
thing.
the
You know,
size.
I keep
Yeah.
that like a concert
half,
ticket.
oh, I didn't even. I should
Yeah.
have done
You're
it.
like toe tag. He's like, yeah, it's so much easier for us
This shit-
afterwards. You know,
There
just
were sheriffs.
for your loved ones, your
Yeah,
family, so they
half
have a
of-
little piece.
Yeah, it
There
was about.
there were sheriffs in different counties saying to take
They
a
do
marker
that.
and write your name and your
Mhm. I
birthday
heard
on
that.
your arm.
I heard that.
Mhm.
Yeah, if you want to stick around.
You know, they're not BSing either. You
Nope.
know, people think that they're just trying to scare you to do what they want you to do. It's like, no, they're trying to protect your safety. People don't understand the power, true power of hurricanes until they experience a couple.
Mhm.
Well, especially when they're talking about this storm surge. I mean,
Surge,
you know,
yeah.
water comes
It's-
in like that.
It's the water damage.
Take anything anywhere.
Yeah.
I know that there are areas where the wind is bad, but I mean, the water damage is just so devastating. It's such a bigger area.
Yep.
It feels like,
Mhm.
and just
I'll tell you
I don't know.
what, some of the ones that's bothersome. And then to hear, if you're going to stay, make sure you have an axe. And you're like, an axe? Like, yeah, so you can get out of your ceiling,
yeah.
get
Yeah.
out of your roof.
Yep.
Like, oh, we should leave. We should probably leave.
Yeah.
I'd probably prefer like a sawzall or chainsaw or something, right?
Yeah.
Axe is low.
Mhm.
Work
I
smarter,
mean, it's
not
low,
harder.
low tech,
Cordless,
but
cordless,
Right.
of course.
geez, it's hard. That can,
But if you're getting to the point where you need the axe, I'm sure you're feverishly chopping away.
you could preempt it, you
Mhm.
just cut a hole in the ceiling before
Right.
the
Oh,
storm.
good.
Right. And then put a little tarp over it. Or
Yeah.
something, right.
It
So
just,
just in case.
Duct tape, saran
just
wrap.
very, very sad.
Oh.
Praying for everybody.
Yes, for sure.
I'm praying for everybody. I wanted to go over a couple things today. First thing I want to do is this article really bothered me, so I want to talk about it because a lot of people right now, because of how slow the market is with home sales, which we'll get into a little bit in Florida, the market's very, very slow. Some of the people are turning to alternative ways to sell their homes. And the one that bothered me the most when I read, and this reminded me when I used to be a full-time investor.
Raffle.
Now, 91-year-old woman could lose her home after signing a real estate contract she says she didn't understand.
Mm.
Right? 91 years old. Listen to this, right? So this lady in Lakeland got one of those things. Well, but what do you need a real estate agent for? Sell your house fast for cash, blah, blah, blah,
Save
blah.
the commission.
Yep, save the commission. We'll give you money cash. You don't have to worry about anything. Well, don't pay any state real estate commissions. A lot of times they'll always say, hey, we'll pay your closing costs too, right? So what happened was this woman agreed to sell her house for half of what it was worth. And she signed the contracts and everything, and now she doesn't want to sell the house because she felt like she was taken advantage of. And as far as I'm concerned, that's like crimes against the elderly, right? And there's a state laws for that you can't take advantage of the elderly.
Right.
And they did it. And when I saw a picture of the contract that she signed, it was I never seen a contract like this before used in the state of Florida, right? Like a purchase and sale contract. And it's all in the obviously all in the seller's favor. I mean, the buyer's favor. And now the lady is obligated under this contract to sell her house, and she's going to lose her house and lose half the value if this isn't completely vetted. And just be careful out there. A lot of people, I've talked to a lot of people who are thinking that they're going to do it that way, and meaning just go directly to somebody wants to buy your house directly, a company. We buy houses fast for cash type of companies.
So,
right?
so that's still very much a FSBO, a first sale by owner type situation, right?
It is a for sale by owner situation. And a lot of times there's no realtor involved, meaning like even the person that's writing the contracts is the buyer itself themselves. And they have no real estate license. And there's a reason why a lot of times they don't have real estate licenses, because they don't have to comply with the regulations that realtors have in the state of Florida.
Right.
They're just private citizens out there saying, hey, I'll buy your house, I'll buy your house, I'll buy your house. Nothing wrong with that. And, there's a lot of ethical investors out there. And sometimes there's a need for we buy houses fast for cash kind of deals.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean if you're doing we buy that kind of thing, that you shouldn't be talking to at least an attorney or a realtor or somebody
Both.
to be on your side, to be independent and tell you if you're doing the right thing and if the contracts look legit or not. Don't just sit down at a kitchen table, talk to a stranger, making you all these promises and writing these contracts. It's going to become more and more common. And
Because you could get a realtor as a consultant, right?
You could do that, like you just a flat fee and say, hey, I'll go over the contract with you or whatever. A lot of times, the investor will still if they want to buy the house and you bring in a realtor before you sign the contract. Okay. If you bring in a realtor, usually they're not going to kill the deal, if you will. They might not be real happy about it. They might give you a little bit less money than what they were willing to give you. But at least you know that you're not losing. In this case, the house was worth it's in Lakeland. It was worth about $200,000 according to the paper, and she sold it for $100,000. Right?
Yeah, that's the kicker. At least you can get some sort of opinion on value. Right? Like, is this guy giving me a fair deal or not?
Right. Or pay for an appraisal or something, But this lady was 91. Right? Now, when I used to be a full-time investor, I've sat at dining room tables and talking to very senior people, right, where I felt like I could have manipulated them any way I wanted to, and they would have signed it because they like me. Oh, you remind me of my grandson or whatever, right? You could. It's so easy to do that. Of course, I never did.
Of course.
And I always, with my contracts, if they agree to the contract, I wrote another agreement stating, you have to understand that I'm buying this to make a profit off the property when I'm done. I'm taking care of all of this and this and this and this for you. You don't have to worry about any of that. That's all on my shoulders. I got to repair the house. I got to carry the house. I got to hope I sell it for the price I want to.
Sure.
But I don't want you being surprised or disappointed later when you see that the house goes back on the market for way more than what I paid you for.
In 3 months or 6 months.
In 3 months. So you have to understand that. And I make them sign that. Not make them, but I have a disclosure having them sign that saying you understand in addition to the contract itself.
Yeah, you can imagine there's a lot of that in the reverse mortgage world, right? Where you're dealing with elderly just as a definition of the people who are eligible, not necessarily elderly, but
aging.
And it's very complicated, and it's hard to know if you're getting the right information or not, whether it's a good idea. Right. What are the implications? And so you have to just have a certain level of ethics, and it's kind of like golden rule stuff, right? So treat them as if they were your own parents or grandparents or whatever it is.
Right.
When my parents were thinking about a reverse mortgage, went to Mike, and the first time it was brought up to us through my relatives, I was like, no, I remember hearing about that 10 years ago, and it sounded pretty scammy to me. I don't think that's a good option. But then we met with Mike, and Mike explained that there are scammy, or at least there used to be scammy type of those loans. But if you do it the right way, they're really big help to people. Reverse mortgages could be huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
I know it really helped out my family.
Sure.
And it's a really good product for certain situations, but you have to have people that you trust that can go and give you the advice you need.
Florida Talk Real Estate is a .com. If you need people you can trust to give you the advice you need, buying a home, selling a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do, everything that touches the world of real estate, we got a professional to handle your needs and so much more. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
Thank you, Johnny. A couple other things, talking about getting back to the hurricane just a little bit, we were already seeing a bubble pop on the west coast of Florida because of the last hurricanes we had. The Tampa, St. Pete area was the first areas we were seeing actually price of depreciation out there. What I've been told from realtors out there, the reason why that is when all the houses were demolished, they built new. And a lot of the people that built new wanted to sell the house as soon as that they fixed it or rebuilt it. And we're going to move out of the area or do something different. But I guess a lot of people had that plan, and the market really slowed down with the amount of buyers because as they were building, it was very strong when they were making the decision, and then it really tapered off as far as buyer demand. And we've seen price depreciation in that part of Florida. I wonder if we're going to start seeing that more across the rest of the way. Going to be kind of interesting to see what's going to happen with the rest of the state. But to get into that for a second, is we got the August reports for the county stats. Sorry. We got the market reports for the county stats for what's happening in the sales market and the real estate market in South Florida. I didn't really have time because of my cold to look at all of them. So I'm just going to go over Palm Beach County real quick.
Sure.
And one of the things I wanted to mention is that, if you read the headlines, this is one of my things again, right? If you read the headlines, they say that our median sales price went up compared to this time last year by 2.1%. I don't like using that figure. So right now, the median sales price in Palm Beach County for August for single family homes was $617,500, right? Last year, last August, in August 2023, it was 605, right? So 617, 605. But 617 is not really 2% increase if you're looking at it like thinking about selling your house in the next couple months, because our high has been 659,999, which was in June. So in June, our median sales price is 65999, right?
In
Now we're at
August.
617,
Yeah.
right? So we're seeing a little bit of a slide, and it's been going down. So what happened was, if you look at that, April, we hit a record of 650, right? For Palm Beach County for median sales price. Then in May, we dropped to 645. Then in June, we jumped up to 659,999. And then July, we dropped down again to 644. And then August, we're at 617. So we're not increasing. We're kind of going up and down a little bit month by month. Sales are still down. We're down about 400, 500 sales a month. We had about 1,100 closings last month for single family homes. The year before, we had about 1,250. So we were about 150 homes short.
And inventory is considerably higher. So,
Well, that's the other thing I want to tell you. What was surprising about this to me, Johnny, the height of our months of supply inventory was 4.8. That's what we got. We were as low, I think, as 0.8 months of inventory.
right.
And then we got all the way up to 4.8. Nobody was talking about it. Hardly anybody was talking about it except for us. But this month, and it's such a little blip, it isn't that much, but it's 4.7. So what I'm saying, what that's showing me is that 4.8, or 5 months is kind of like a ceiling right now that we haven't hit. There's a couple of reasons why that months of supply inventory, I think, is changing. Is that, first of all, it's taking longer for the houses to sell, a lot longer. And the second thing is I think more people were putting their houses on the market. But now I think there's going to be a lot of cancels and expireds because they put it on the market. They're disappointed with the market results, and they're not getting either the right price or enough showings. So they just decided to rescind their offering and just pull out. And I feel like that's happening right now too. So right now, it's still a very good buyer's market, guys. If you're a buyer, you can get good deals out there. There's good deals out there for you. You just have to, be sharp, get prepared, get ready. We're going to get into way more of that in a little bit later.
Good deals and some nice properties too. I've been, I get a drip. I get a drip and have for quite some time now. I wish I was in the market for just a 3-2 with a pool, because man, there are some nice homes out there. There really are. I need a little bit more than that, but there's some nice properties
and the
out
prices,
there. And the prices, I don't go, oh no, I go, that seems workable.
Yeah, exactly. So there are opportunities out there, and in a little bit, we're not going to talk about right now, but we're going to talk about that big rate cut. Okay, that happened. We'll probably get that until after the break, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But just to continue with the stats a little bit that I thought were interesting, the other thing is cash deals are down. We're not getting as many cash buyers. Everybody used to think that, we were doing as much as high as 60% cash buyers. Now we're at like 33% cash buyers.
That makes sense to me, because the cash buyers, at least a lot of the time, got their cash from proceeds of a sale of another home. And so if the whole market is slowing down in general, like, where's the cash coming from?
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point. And the median original list price to contracted price, 94% right now. Okay, we were as high as 101% in Palm Beach County a year and a half ago. 101% of median list price to sales price. Now we're at 94%. So people are, if you put your house on the market, you should expect on average to get about 6% less than what you put it on for. Okay.
Even if you price it right?
Yeah. I got to be honest with you. I just had a deal this week that we put under contract in Lake Park. It was one of my listings.
Yeah.
It had been on the market for a while. I didn't know why. It had a brand new roof, brand new AC with ductwork, brand new impact windows. The house needed a little TLC on the inside. Kitchen was not really dated, but it had the brown sugar cabinets, with the brown countertop granite and stuff like that.
Dark.
Yeah. But overall, all the heavy lifting there's there. It's in an area that is less than a half a mile from the intercoastal. It's also in this area of Lake Park where they're just building a major downtown marina redevelopment going on down there. So in 5 years, that whole neighborhood's going to go into, right now they're in the 3s to 4s, maybe 5 if you got a Mac Daddy. But that neighborhood's going to jump up really fast once that marina takes off and all the investors start waking up to buy these houses. And we put that house on. We pushed it a little bit because there was a lack of inventory. So when we put it on the market, we pushed it a little bit, but it wasn't selling. We were getting the most showings on that property than any of the properties had on the market, but we couldn't get a buyer. And then we made a price drop. We started getting some more people in. And even though we did the price drop, the people came in like 3% below our list price, right? Of the price drop list price, right? They came in 3% below that. And with today's market, it's so hard to try to negotiate with the buyers sometimes because some of the buyers, if they don't get exactly what they want, they're just going to walk, right? They're just going, I'll go find another house, right? So I had to be really delicate in the negotiations, and I wasn't super happy about the price that we got, but I also had to tell the seller, look, we can go ahead and counter. We can reject, we can counter, but if this person walks away, we know how long we've been on the market up to this point. Are you okay with that?
Because you had a lot of people see the house.
Oh, that house
not many
we
offers.
had over probably 30 showings in 100 days. So that was a very strong house.
Is your 94% number based on like final list price to sales price, not the original list price?
Original list price to sold price.
Original list price, not the final list price. Okay.
Yeah, not the dropped list price. I know what you're talking about. This is called original. It says median percent of original list price.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So even if you had a price reduction, it's still accounted for in there.
Yeah, that's accounted for in there.
I was trying to think. We have that Scott in contract.
Yes.
What was his compared to what they wanted?
Oh, I want to give a big shout out to you about that, Mike. But we'll talk about that after the break.
Okay.
But let's do that. After the break, we're going to give Mike a huge shout out. Just showing the difference of having a good loan officer understanding the market. So let me just set it up and we'll talk about it on the break. So
Mike was amazing.
Yeah. So my customer Scott went into contract, went through the inspection, and it was time about 6 days before the Fed was going to make a decision whether they're going to cut the rate or not. So nobody knew for sure. And then Scott and Mike had to make a decision as to whether we're going to lock in the rate or not. So Scott did not want to lock in the rate because he knew the Fed cut was coming. Mike said maybe we should lock in the rate, regardless of the rate cut coming.
Good setup right there. We'll find out the outcome.
We're going to find out on the other side what happened and how Mike won the day.
Maybe Mike wasn't so awesome.
I didn't know
that's what we were talking about.
I feel with this setup, he probably was. Yeah, it doesn't feel like we're going to let you down on the other side. 877-927-6969. That is toll free in the studio if you'd like to be involved with the conversation at hand. If you have a question, comment, concern in the world of real estate, we got the team assembled to handle that and so much more. Now, if we can't get your answer on the radio live, we will get that answer for you, though. That's how this team rolls. There's nothing left unanswered. We get you to where you need to be. Buying a home, selling a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. We have a team of professionals for you at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. It's FloridaTalkRealEstate.com on Facebook and YouTube as well. But use that .com, FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're back in 4 minutes. Great to have you with us every Saturday. It's Florida Talk Real Estate right here on Real Radio.
We'll be your friend. Follow us at Real Radio 92.1 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Here's what's happening with the weather on Real Radio.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center. Have you been injured in a motor vehicle accident? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Hot and humid conditions in the forecast today with a chance for scattered showers once we get to about mid-afternoon. A heat advisory is in effect from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. this evening for Palm Beach County. Drink your water and take breaks from the sun. Tomorrow we're a little hotter and also a little drier this afternoon.
This report is sponsored by CastleImpactWindows.com. This hurricane season is predicted to be extreme. Your house is your castle. Don't wait for the monster storms. Call Castle Impact today for a free estimate and fortify your castle. 561-683-4811. High quality, made in-house. Protect your investment. Castle Impact Windows, your Operation Storm Watch headquarters.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
You're listening to Real Radio 92.1, and we are an iHeart radio station. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
That's it. Toll free, 877-927-6969. We'll take you to 11 as we do every Saturday, unless the Gators get in the way, of course, because Real Radio is home of Florida Gator football. 11 o'clock, we'll pass the baton in the locker room. It's great to have you with us. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is at.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. If you'd like to join us on a live stream every Saturday, you can do just that. We live stream every Saturday on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate, and on YouTube as well. Florida Talk Real Estate LLC. Johnny C, well, that's me. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Locker room live today, yeah?
I believe so.
Well, here I am promoting it wrong. Then I'm asking. It's not how it's done. Doing it wrong. Good to know. We will all be listening for sure. Let's get your starting lineup. As always, a pleasure to say good morning to the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. There's Mike Rauch. Good morning.
Yep. Good morning. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
There's Jimmy D, Jim DePola. I've told you he runs a top producing Keller Williams team. Keller Williams Innovations. You find the Florida Home Pros team. And Jimmy D, how you be?
Happy South Florida, everybody.
That's what's up.
Sunny day out. You know, with the hurricane, I was stuck in my house because of the whole COVID thing. So from Saturday until yesterday, I didn't even get into my car. Never got out of my house.
What do you do for food? You get it delivered?
Some of it delivered, some of it I bought. Like I have a lot of food in my fridge and I just cook. But what ended up happening was I come outside, I'm like, I hope a coconut didn't hit my car or something, right? Because it's out there. And car looked perfect. It looked like it had best pressure washing ever.
Nice. Freshly waxed.
It was freshly clean car.
The wind and rain.
The wind and the rain. And I'm sure the sand gave a nice sand job.
Oh yeah. We actually drove to the beach on Wednesday.
He said sand. He got all excited over there.
Well,
Sand job.
I heard something
sand
else.
job.
But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
I appreciate you
That's
clarifying that for me.
SJ, baby. SJ.
But we drove to Palm Beach just to check it out. It was really choppy, red flags, of course. But there were some surfers out there. I don't know what they were thinking because there was not any surfable waves. It was just like super,
chop.
chop, closeout. Everything was a closeout,
Right.
Johnny? Like you couldn't get up on it. But they were out there doing their thing.
Yeah, why not? I think the storms bring them out.
And
man.
the sand was
Sure enough.
blowing. Like it was. If you're on the beach, it
Oh,
was
yeah,
like it
whipping
was
you.
like the sand job. Sand jobs all over the place.
What?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, that's funny. So we were talking on the flip side, right before the break about how having a great loan officer can really make your day. And Scott is a customer of ours. He's been a really great success story for us because he's been following our show for years and years, and we kept talking to him, and he kept trying to figure out a way for his family to buy a house. And over the years, his family grew to 5 kids, and him and his wife. And he called up this year, and he was all set, man. We're so proud of him. He was like, "Hey, I've got lots of money saved. I boosted my credit score. I'm ready." Right, and he was.
Beautiful.
And we got him over to Mike, and Mike qualified him for the loan. Now, for what he was looking for in the area he wanted to be in, because he wanted to be in great school districts for his kids, real family-oriented father. Wanted to be in great school districts. He was very hyper about the type of neighborhood. It like just being in Wellington wasn't enough, for example, right? He had to be in certain pockets of Wellington, and not the neighborhood so much, but where the house was situated in the neighborhood. Like if it was too close to a busy street, he would pass because of his young children.
Sure.
So he was, very knew what he wanted, but on his budget, he probably couldn't get everything he wanted. A 5-bedroom house, 6-bedroom house, with all the kids. So we had to be really creative. And Scott is a contractor. He owns Avera Construction, if anybody's interested, GC company. And so Scott didn't mind buying a fixer-upper, and that's really what saved the day for Scott. So we found a property for him, we got him under contract, went through the inspection. Inspection went okay. And then about a week before the Fed cut the rate, which was last Thursday, right? A week ago Thursday.
Yep.
They had to make a decision if they're going to lock in the rate or not. And Scott, of course, didn't want to lock in the rate because he reads all the newspapers and everything saying, "Oh, the Fed's going to cut the rate. The Fed's going to cut the rate," just like running around like everybody else. But Mike had maybe a little different opinion. And that's always a tough situation when the rates might be changing as to whether lock in or not. So why don't you take it from there, Mike?
Yeah, and I think the like my default position is always just you lock, right? Because there's you can't predict what's really going to happen, and there's usually not enough market fluctuation where you should just like be worried about it, right? Like when you're floating, you're basically saying, "Hey, I think this time next week, or tomorrow, or 2 weeks from now, or as we approach, I think the market's going to get better for me." That's when you would float, right?
Sure.
And so usually it's just not tumultuous enough where you should like keep your head up at night about that. Just lock in. If rates go down like drastically, we have a float down policy or what's called a rate renegotiation, all of that stuff. So, but this was different, right? Because it was like, hey, next week the Fed is doing something, and by all accounts, they're doing something positive for the interest rate market, and it could be really positive, right? It's going to be a quarter point, it's going to be a half a point, and so the narrative, of course, you and we talk about this, and we're like, well, we know that we don't follow, like mortgage rates don't follow, and we've talked about how the rates, our rates were already kind of baked in, kind of anticipating the Fed's decision. And so when I was talking to Scott about it, I said, listen, my professional opinion is I don't see a lot of upside to waiting. If I think nothing's going to happen with mortgage rates when the Fed does its thing, it's possible if the Fed only does like a quarter point, that's considered bad news. And then you would see mortgage rates tick up because of that. Now, if they came out with 3/4, maybe it was like what Johnny said, that could be bad news also, because like, oh, what are they scared of?
What are they scared of?
What are they scared of?
Right.
You could see mortgage rates. So I said, I don't really see a lot of upside. I would just lock it in. If it happens to like go down, we have our float down. Like we can take advantage of that if it goes down.
Could you explain what the float down is?
Basically, just like when you lock an interest rate, you're locking against market movement, right? So you're basically saying, I'm going to take this rate or that day's chart, essentially. It's not a specific rate, but that day's chart. And if rates get worse, I'm protected. But if rates get better, you can't take advantage of that, right? It's like it's like a hedge against against a bet, right?
Hedge, hedge day don't go up.
Yeah,
right. Drastically.
Yeah, and so it's but if the market shifts down sufficiently, and I think our policy is something like the rate in that day where you're like analyzing, like compared to when I locked, had to be at least a quarter of a point better, but also a little bit better in pricing, meaning like the cost for the rate. But if it's moved down sufficiently, then you can take advantage and you basically renegotiate into that day's chart. So if it comes down a little bit, can't take advantage of it. But once it reaches the threshold, and I've floated people down, throughout some of these tumultuous times, whenever I had an opportunity, I'm always like kind of watching for it, and I'll be watching for it with Scott. Like he's not going to get it. Nothing's happened right so far, but so we can look at that, but don't count on it. But if the market goes the wrong way, you're protected against that. So there's ways to take advantage of the down movement, but you're also always protected against upward movement.
So let me ask you this. So let's say that Scott did not lock in the rate.
Yeah.
Okay. And then after the Fed cut, the interest rates did go down significantly.
Yeah.
Then at that point,
we would have locked in.
Right. But but what you had explained that the cost for locking in sometimes is more expensive. Remember we had that conversation last week, or
so like in general, when you're locking in a rate, and when I say when you're locking in on a chart, not a specific rate, is because you can always move up and down like this pay points to lower your rate type of concept, right? So think of the par interest rate. Par interest rate is like, here's the interest rate that doesn't cost you any money in points. 1 point is 1% of your loan amount. So if you're doing a $300,000 loan, 1 point, Johnny, is $3,000, right? US. That's all hairs.
Bitcoin.
No, but so if the par rate, let's say it's 6.25, doesn't cost you any points, but maybe 6 costs you a point, right? So to buy down a little bit lower interest rate costs you a fee, and it's almost like, think about it as like you're paying interest up front, and there's some threshold where it makes sense to do that, right? Like it's going to cost me $3,000, but I'm going to save $100 a month. After 30 months, I'm in the black on that decision.
Yeah.
Right. And the longer I have this loan, the better that decision was.
That's right.
So you're locking into that chart, and you can always slide up and down that day's chart, right? So if I wanted to look at 5.75, okay, what's going to cost me whatever to do that? So I think the question you're answering is like, well, how do you compare like whether it was a good decision to lock or to float? And so as long as you have a benchmark saying, okay, well, on this day, here's what it would have cost you. Here's what your rate would have been. Here was your par rate on this day, right? Or here was what it cost for 5.75 or whatever it was. And then you're going and you look a week later, say, for example, after the Fed did their thing on the Wednesday. So maybe the Thursday of last week, right? Not this most recent, but the prior week. I would go in, look at the exact same scenario, meaning your credit, your loan to value, your property, your loan type, all of that. And I would say, okay, well, here was our benchmark. Where are we at today? So whether you locked or not, as long as I noted what it was on that day, I have some sort of benchmark for comparing.
Right.
And then so had we floated, and I looked at that Thursday, and Jim did this, we did this as an exercise just to see like, okay, what was the impact of what the Fed did like immediately on mortgage rates. And for Scott's scenario, which is specific to his credit, his loan to value, his location, his loan type.
It's his snowflake.
Right. It's his snowflake. The rate didn't change, but the cost changed and it went the wrong direction. Right. So it would have cost him more money in points to lock in on the rate that he did compared to the week prior. And this was the day after the Fed lowered their rate by 0.5%.
And
why is that? Like,
why?
Well, this is what I was predicting. I was like, I don't see any upside. Why did rates, if anything, I would call that like flattish. Because like every single hour, this kind of like points, like the cost for a rate is fluctuating
Just
throughout
incremental
little
shifts.
incremental stuff. Right. And this one, it wasn't. So I was actually surprised how much the difference was, but it was worse for him. And so it turns out we made the right call. We locked in. That was the right call. And the reason for like everyone was so like, not everyone. I think the majority of people were thinking, oh, what the Fed? And I even got calls like, hey, rates are looking good. I'm like, yeah, they're kind of flattish. Like they stayed the same. Why? Well, because the mortgage rates already knew it was happening. Like there was a prediction that it was happening.
Right.
And so the reason mortgage rates, and this is so, Jim, illustrative of the point, mortgage rates have come down 0.5% in the 2-3 months leading up to the Fed's September decision. Well, why is that? The Fed did nothing. Why did our rates come down?
Anticipating
the movement.
Mm-hmm.
And the 2 weeks leading up to the Fed decision, our rates dipped, like a dip that you could see. Well, why is that? Because as it came out that the Fed was, definitely lowering, perhaps even 0.5 point.
Yeah, the odds-on
could
favorite was 0.5 point.
Yeah,
at that point.
You could see it. And like Johnny and I, even like until like 2 weeks before, or maybe 3 weeks, I forget what it was. We were like, why would he ever do it? Why?
Right.
And then it just started, crystallizing that it was getting lowered. Like that's what was happening. We're like, okay, well, why would that be? And we started hypothesizing, right?
Very much.
Let's now we know the answer. Let's come up with the why. The philosophy.
I want to get into more details on that, but I just wanted to give a shout out to Scott thanks for trusting the whole team, because let me tell you, his situation, we also had insurance issues to deal with, which we'll get in with Ross was here. So we really had to use the whole clan in order to get this going right. And everything's cooking along pretty good. By the way, the double tap on the panel's done.
I didn't even know about it. Oh yeah, for the
inspection. So we're got a report that's going to be given to Ross, and then you'll be ready. I think
Excellent.
at that point.
Yeah, if you're a fan of the movie Zombieland, you always double tap.
You got to double tap.
Always.
Yeah, you got to double tap. So I do want to get into what happened with the whole Fed rate cut, because I feel like I was shouting out into a black echo of no listening in a way. And the reason why I'm saying that, I'm not talking about the listeners so much. It was more about realtors. Realtors are driving me crazy. Real estate agents are driving me crazy about what they think is happening with the economy, because most of them really don't know anything about the economy. They don't read about it. They don't even know what Freddie, how to look at a Freddie Mac chart. They don't even know where it is. They don't understand a lot of the parts, and I know I'm going to get a lot of realtors upset with me, but the ones that are the pros are going to go, yeah, I know, I agree with you.
We even had like our people in corporate, like that Wednesday or Thursday, sending out emails, kind of like talking points, right? Like, hey, how do you talk about this stuff with your agents or with your buyers? And I'm like, well,
because it was so reverse of what everybody expected, and that's what we've been saying on the show now for a little bit of time. And so I wanted to get into what happened. So we did have a Fed rate cut of 0.5 point.
We did, yes.
And first time since I forgot, what was it, 9 years that we've had a cut
of that size?
No, not even just any cut. I think was the last time we had a cut. Oh,
I
man,
didn't
my
consider
brain
that
is
number.
shot today. I just remember the 2022 stuff is when we started raising the rates from 0, and we started raising them up in 2022. But the half point cut, it was in the media so much all the time, right? That everybody thought that this was going to be like the problem solver for everything. The buyers are going to come back. They're not going to worry about the high costs of the house. They're not going to worry about the insurance rates anymore. They got the low interest rate, right? They're getting that low interest rate, and the Fed's cutting a half a point. I'm so excited. And you read it everywhere. The headlines were just amazing. Here's an example. Now, this part's true, but it's the reason why it's true is the part that's crazy. Here's a Yahoo Finance. Signs of housing demand surge after interest rate cut, right? So everybody's thinking, wow, and there's just so many headlines like that about the interest rate cut and how it's going to be a boon to the buyers. Well, when about 3 hours before the interest rate Fed cut came out, I went to the 10-year Treasury bill. And that's the rate that actually is directly tied to interest rates, correct, Mike? More so than a Fed rate cut.
It's the chart that you should watch if you're looking for like daily movement. What's happening with mortgage rates? If you watch the 10-year Treasury note, that's what's happening with mortgage rates that day. You could also look at mortgage-backed securities, but that's a much harder chart to decipher. Decipher. Exactly.
Right.
Good word, Johnny.
So
Thank you.
the 10-year Treasury bill, right before the Fed came out with the cut that morning, it was at 3.63, right? 3.63%. And when the Fed cut the rate, it went up to 3.65.
Even that morning, it was up the morning before the Fed decision
before
came out.
so I only looked at the 3.63. Yeah, and then it went to 3.65, and then I looked later in the day, and then it went to 3.67, and then I looked later in the day, and I'm like, where's the rate cut, guys? Come on, we're waiting, right?
Yeah.
And then it got all the way up to almost 3.75 over the next couple of days. Then CNBC just this week came out like Sunday or something saying, hey, the Fed cut the rate. How come interest rates haven't dropped? Right, CNBC. And I'm like, you guys are morons. You guys are the ones that are paid to do this for a living. How could you not explain this to the public better? People don't understand that the Fed rate cut is not the same as an interest rate cut on your mortgage. And that's the talking points you needed, right, Mike?
Yeah.
At that point, because people call up, hey, the Fed cut the rate a half a point. I want to refi, right? And then
the talking point was like mortgage rates have already lowered, guys. I mean, that's to sum it up. Mortgage rates, the Fed's decision was already baked into mortgage rates. We're anticipating this. That's why rates have come down. And I've been like, well, why? And I'm thinking about my corporate people. Like, why weren't you setting this out a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Right? No, it was like radio silence. And so, but obviously they started getting questions from loan originators who aren't as dialed in, right? Or just not watching as much as we are. And they were like, what happened with rates? Like, why are we worse today than we were yesterday? Right? When they're talking like slight minutia, like slight things. But if they were talking the week before, take Scott's case, they would have had a unpleasant surprise.
Yeah.
Right?
Paid a little bit more.
And they're people that they were like, oh, let's float Fed. If they were doing that, well, I'm sorry. They were basically reading the headlines.
Yeah. Sadly, you're not getting a big pop that a lot of people were hoping because maybe they were only headline reading. And then the other side, you're just not going to see the down push on interest rates for your credit cards and stuff. It's not going to happen overnight. Like when they raised it, it's going to be a slow burn push down. So the overnight results that so many people were hoping for, it's just not the reality. But if you listen to this show, you were mentally prepared for that.
And the thing is let's be real, guys. 6.0. So what happened with Freddie Mac? I forgot. So Mike and I were talking a little bit last week, and Mike and I were just like, well, let's see what Freddie Mac does a week from the Fed cut, because that will really show, what really happened after the Fed cut. So we were at 6.09 before the Fed rate cut, the Thursday before the Fed rate cut. The day of the Fed rate cut. The day of the Fed rate cut, we were 6.09. Okay, where do you think we were this Thursday?
6.10.
Okay, where do you think? Oh, not Mike. What do you think, Jimmy?
Well, you already told me so.
Oh, okay. 6.09.
I didn't even
right?
move.
No. I went the other way. I'm sorry. It started The day the Fed cut the rate was also the day the Freddie Mac came out. It was 6.09. We went from 6.09 to this week to 6.08. We had a great decrease of 0.01.
Nice.
So that will save you probably a half a cent on your mortgage, a half a penny on your mortgage payment every month, right?
Save it wisely.
Yeah, save that half a penny, guys, and that's what you're waiting for. That was the big wait.
But the week, so remember, Freddie's report is basically from Thursday to Thursday, or they publish it every Thursday. So maybe it's like a Wednesday to Wednesday analysis. And the week, and the Fed's decision came out on a Wednesday, right? So that Thursday, it was the 6.09. The Thursday prior to that, it was 6.2. So there was
we had a drop,
a noticeable drop in the week leading up to the Fed's Wednesday meeting.
So it was baked in.
And the Thursday that it came out, and Maddie, it looked like, oh, look, it came 6.009 from 6.2. Like, but that was the week preceding the Fed.
Right.
And then last week, right? That's the one I was like, Jim, you're not going to see it. It's the Thursday following. We got to wait till this Thursday. I was actually surprised that it was down, right? 6.09 to 6.08. It's basically nothing, but it's still down. And I was surprised because what I was seeing would be a slight, just a slight up, maybe like the 6.1 or 6.11 that Johnny was seeing.
Yeah. So the thing is that I hope this is a big lesson for people in the future, because we're probably going to have more rate cuts coming. Okay. I'll get into that a little bit.
Which should be, generally good news for mortgage rates. Like, because our rates will follow long-term what the Fed is doing. And if you stack like the 30-year mortgage chart, stack Freddie's chart on top of the Fed chart over, say, 30 years or 40 years or whatever it was,
they're close.
You will see that it follows along, right?
Yep.
So the day-to-day, the week-to-week is not exactly the same, but the general trend. So if the Fed is lowering rates, mortgage rates should also, in turn, come down a little bit.
Would you anticipate another move in November?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes, and I tell you,
that's the talk.
Really?
Yeah.
So the latest inflation numbers came out, and they were lower than they were expecting. So it's working on the inflation.
Jobs.
It's jobs.
It's jobs.
That'd be interesting to see.
So
if they
people
did that.
forget that, not you forget, Johnny, because I know you know this as well as I do, but Fed is in charge of keeping the economy strong. And the two parameters that they're assigned to, that they're responsible for, are unemployment and inflation, right? Not necessarily in that order. It could be the other way. It depends on where we are in the economy, what's more important. So they want to keep inflation low, and they want to keep jobs strong. And it's a very hard thing because they're kind of at cross purposes sometimes. So like if you get too hot on inflation, the whole thing that they're trying to do is, in order to stamp that down, is to reduce spending. And the way you do spending sometimes means that the people that are buying stuff can't buy as much stuff anymore, which means the corporations are going to have to scale back and
so
lay
they need
people
to
off
increase
and lay people off. Right. You almost have to increase unemployment in order to get the inflation down.
We're still like, when you look at spending though, we're still only like certain segments where it's really like slowing down, because in so many, like Halloween Horror Nights is cranking up. The lines are just massive. Bourbon and Beyond in Louisville this past weekend, they had a record crowd. I think their 6th or 7th year doing this festival. Record crowd, and the tickets are more expensive this year than last year. Like, it never gets cheaper, never gets less expensive. 60,000 on Saturday night. It was 50,000 every other night. Like, I'm looking at all these events, and I'm like, look at all these people. Like, the spending's still happening. And it just is certain segments where it's slowed, or I guess maybe even dripped.
I think about like the Fed, and I was like, they have one, I imagine like Jimothy standing there behind a board with a bunch of, levels and dials and everything. They only have just like one big, one switch, right? It's like the masters.
Exactly.
It's like up or down.
Right. Up or down.
And I think like if there weren't human beings involved, and let's just say it was all automated, either computerized or machine, like, would they have much more fine tuning? They're like unemployment, production, dial production down a hair. Would they have much more fine tuned board than just this one big switch that they have right now?
It'd be fascinating to see it work out, right?
So they're predicting
like an EQ. you know?
Yeah.
Some of the people are predicting another half point cut coming in November.
Wow.
Another half point.
That would be staggering.
I'm
That
not-
sets off
I'm not
Johnny's
sure.
radars. On the
A lot
floor.
of that's Wall Streeters stuff to me still. I feel like that's still
It
you
could
know,
be
just-
Wall Street. It could be what do they call, not Main Street, but what's the political street? I don't know.
What do you mean?
What
Oh,
is, you know,
K
White,
Street.
White House.
No, the K Street's the
Yeah.
lobbyists.
Yeah,
That's the
could be K
lobbyists.
Street.
Yeah.
It could be you know, it could be corporate, like coming into holiday season. You know, we always have that a little
Definitely
bit.
getting
right?
into
Like,
holiday season.
you gotta make spending possible
Mhm.
during the holiday season.
Yeah.
So-
Otherwise, we're in trouble. That's this house of cards is built on spending.
Right.
Well, we're
Yeah.
the number one consumer in the
Yeah,
world for
that's it.
everybody.
Yeah, that's it.
We fuel everybody.
We fund China constantly.
Yes, we fuel everybody.
Yeah, because we just like cheap stuff.
Yep. And it's so this whole Fed cut rate to me was the big lie for mortgage rates as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe next week we'll see more results from that, right? I'm not
Jeez.
betting on it.
That's pretty extreme,
What?
Jim. 'Cause, right? 'Cause the big lie was a huge.
To me, it was the big lie about like this rate cut was going to be like so monumental to all these buyers and sellers and everything that it was really going to make. I just don't, for immediate results, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
talking about for the long term. Okay. I'm just talking about like right now. Everybody
just
thought it was going to be a light
Scott's
switch.
case, like it perfectly crystallized. Like, should
Mm-hmm.
we have locked in the week prior to, or wait for the decision?
Mhm.
And it turns out it would have been okay either way, but it would have cost a little bit more if we waited.
Yep.
A little bit more.
Yep.
Hey, let's go ahead and take a break. But before I do that, I wanted to give a shout out to Joyce. I
Oh.
was just thinking about you, Joyce, today. I was going to ask Johnny where Joyce has been because I haven't seen her in a while. So I'm so glad you stopped in. Elaine, thanks for coming in here. Awesome. Carl coming in from Ireland on
awesome.
the call. Carl, Maggie are in Ireland. Carl, I got to ask you a question.
Sláinte.
Do you have an Irish accent yet? Do you have an Irish brogue yet? That's what I got to know. It's going to be funny if he does get an Irish brogue after all this. But he says everything's doing good out there. He's
Let's hear your best Irish brogue.
Oh, I can't,
Yeah.
and I'm part Irish, and I
Are
couldn't
you?
even do it. Yeah, so
Good.
Connor,
Try to
Connor.
do the rest of what you have to say.
I
here in
can't. I
Irish.
couldn't even try,
You're-
especially today.
You ever see the movie Snatch?
I
Yeah, of
can't because I
course.
couldn't understand anything they were
You
saying.
want Jim to talk Traveler?
So
I
good.
couldn't understand anything they were saying. I wanted to watch it. I couldn't. I gave up.
Oh, it's so good.
You like
I don't
eggs?
understand this. But anyway, on the flip side, we're going to talk about. Hold on here. What are we talking about on the flip side? Oh, it reminded me of something. Jimmy
flip
just bought.
side.
Jimmy just bought a new construction home.
Just bought a year ago.
Has it been a year?
It's a year. We're coming up on a year, believe it or
Oh,
not.
Stop it.
Yeah,
holy
it's coming up on a
moly.
year.
Dude.
But when I say
It's
just
amazing.
bought, right? But there
God,
was a
time is
late,
relative, huh?
there's some condo buyers in Boca that are complaining that their place wasn't built on time.
Okay.
So I wanted to talk about that because we
Okay.
talked about that in your contract.
It was
What
a,
would happen?
Yeah, it's an
right.
issue.
And
Sure.
then when I read this report, I'm like, is this a nothing burger? So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that when we come back on
Yeah,
the flip
sometimes
side.
you can be positioned where you're like, man, I hope they don't get it done on time. 'Cause I'm about to get a big fat check.
Oh, you'd be surprised.
Mm.
You got to read the fine print in those contracts.
Bingo.
that
You'd be
matters.
surprised how much they pad themselves.
All that little writing in the bottom always matters.
Yep.
y'all.
It sure does.
It does.
We got just under an hour remaining for you. Great to have you with us every Saturday. You're more than welcome to join us. 877-927-6969. Questions, comments, concerns in the world of real estate. Want to dive into the conversation at hand? You can dial it up right now. Quick little reset. We get to your phone call. Of course, always remember for off air, you have access to the entire team at floridatalkrealestate.com. Pros, experts in their field. They work cohesively together. We get example after example. You can feel all the examples. floridatalkrealestate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. You can change lives at floridatalkrealestate.com. We're back in 4 minutes. Thanks for being with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate. We're right here on Real Radio.
We're everywhere you need to be. I've been everywhere, man. Tell your smart device to play Real Radio 92.1 on iHeartRadio.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronet, owner of Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowner's insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
From the Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios.
Have you been in an accident? Call Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys at 1-800-747-FREE.
That's 1-800-747-3733.
Real Radio 92.1 is WZZR West Palm Beach, an iHeartRadio station.
Listen on your free iHeartRadio app for all your music, radio, and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
I give it to you again, 877-927-6969. That's toll free. About 45 minutes remaining or so here on a Saturday, live on September 28th. Great to have you with us on the old radio there. Maybe you're joining us live streaming. Thank you. On Facebook and YouTube, Florida Talk Real Estate. Find us on both. Johnny C, well, that's me. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What's up, my brother?
Hello, and good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Mike Rauch is the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. He's right here with me. He's my left, your right, everybody.
You're certainly your left. I don't know if
Yes.
it's their right.
It's definitely there, right?
If I see on the screen, I'm left. I'm on your right.
Oh, so the exact opposite of what I said.
I'm lower left.
Huh.
You're upper right.
I'm upper right?
Yeah.
I'm totally confused.
Square number. Are you looking at it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I have claimed to upper for many years. It's not that I look down on anybody.
Oh.
We are a family of UWT. That is upper white trash.
Okay.
By the way, we are UWT through and through.
What is that just below? Is that below lower middle class?
That is upper white trash is right below lower middle. That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Exactly right.
You're almost there.
Yeah, you're like, oh, you own a home. Yeah, check. You have a car with over 100,000 miles that you own. Check.
No car payment.
Yeah.
I'm in that club.
Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna ride that till the wheels fall off.
That's how I do it.
Till the casket drops, as they say.
Do you do your own service though?
I service myself all the time.
I mean, your car, like oil
I have
change.
video too.
Yeah,
You check your oil.
constantly. They call me Mudfinger for nothing.
Look at that dipstick.
Jimmy D's with us on a Saturday. Jim DePola has run a top producing Keller Williams team for, I've told you for 12 plus years now. That's right. 12 plus years I've been telling you this. Keller Williams Innovations, you find the Florida Home Pros team, and my guy, Jimmy D. How you be?
I'm doing good, guys. I was reading an article in the Sun Sentinel about these condo buyers in Boca. They a lot of people put in a contract. This is over by
Boca.
yeah, but it's over by East Boca, just west of the Intercoastal, and this is going to be this new fabulous like luxury mixed use complex where the condos started $1 million and up, and there's like
so it's residential, commercial,
with
with
also a 5-star hotel.
Oh.
So it's going to be like a 500 rooms, 5-star hotel, plus these special residences. And when you're there, it's like you live like you're living in a luxury hotel.
We call that condo hotel, guys. If you need financing for that, very tricky, but you know who to call.
There you go.
It's TalkRealEstate.com.
So this couple is complaining that their condo, they put their contract in on this condo for 2021 and the paper says 3 years later, they're among several people suing for the delays to this project in Boca Raton. And I'm like, that's kind of interesting. Let me read that. I started reading it. So this is going to make Jimmy laugh. So how late do you think this project is right now? That people would go out and sue, right? Because the project's late.
2 years.
Okay, 2 years. What do you think, Mike?
I think it's probably on time, according to the builder.
What do you think?
I was thinking shorter, like 6 months.
It was supposed to be done in June, and they're already suing in September.
June?
And that now, I'm sorry, the attorneys might get really mad at me about this that are suing. Maybe there's stuff I probably don't know about this.
Sure.
But the one thing I did learn when Jimmy bought his house, how thick was that documents that you had to sign when you bought your new home? It wasn't like a normal regular as is for sale contract. Is 12 pages long, and then you might have some addendums. So at tops, you're looking at like 30 pages.
But when it's new construction, there's so many different things in there. And of course, the other factor is obviously it was the hurricane season when it was being built.
Yes.
So that was another factor that they never want to put anything into as far as what it was. But I think they had up to technically 2 years, I do believe.
2 years, right? So even though they're telling you a projected finish date,
which was about a year, right? Or 8 months?
No, they have 2 years after the projected date.
Yeah. Yes.
They have 2 years after the projected date, and you can't do anything to
I'm saying, but like their projected date was something like 8 months build time, Timothy?
Yeah,
from
9
the time
months.
From shovel? No, it's only like 4.
Oh, I thought it was
4 months.
9.
Yeah.
So I thought it was 9. So let's say that you don't finish, right? And then like you're 6 months late, and this is a big inconvenience, right? So this couple, I understand why they were upset, the ones that were in the paper, because they were trying to move out of they were thinking about buying something else, and then they fell in love with this project. And the only way to get the project, according to the paper, was to sell the home that they had. So what they did is they decided they were going to sell right away
and then
rent, right? But now the rent's taking a long time, right? And my attitude was you sold way too early, right? The big mistake you made is you shouldn't have sold so fast. And I also felt really bad because if they sold in 2021 when they signed the contract, that means they lost all the appreciation of 2022, which is a very strong appreciation year.
Yep.
And 2023 wasn't that bad either.
Pretty strong.
So they lost probably like 10, 15% of the value of the original home that they were selling.
Oh, that's it? I would have guessed more than that. In 2 years?
I'm trying to be conservative.
2021 was pretty hot. It was a pretty hot year. 2021. That's when
so they
we had a lot of cash buyers.
At the time, they probably did very well at that moment. But if they held it a little longer while waiting for the project to be built, they would have got more equity on the home. If they waited to 2024, it would have been too late because the market really started slowing down. But normally, a lot of developers put in there 2 years after the projected close date, and you can't do anything to them for that 2 years.
And it's not only obviously weather is an issue, right? But there's also if there's like a labor strike for the trust company, or there's some problem with materials and getting a hold of that. Especially, I imagine it may not. You can probably answer this better, Jim. But was that a lot of that because of post-COVID, where building materials and everything like that was very hard to come by?
No, I think that a lot of developers, I've seen that even before COVID. Yes,
okay,
I have seen that because they want outs, right?
Right.
And they even put things in like war, act of God, that kind of stuff they put
force
in
majeure.
there, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, basically force majeure issues.
And
Right?
I think a lot of these condo projects also are looking to sell as early as possible because it's funding their construction.
Right. And
It's
the thing
funding
is
project.
that when you go into these deals, what you really need to do is you got to ask a lot of questions because they're selling you, right? And nothing wrong with that. That's what they're doing. They're selling their project. But you're the consumer, and you know how it's going to affect you if it doesn't close on time. So you got to ask a lot of questions. Well, what happens if it doesn't close by that date? What are your obligations to me? What are my obligations to you? And start asking those kind of questions. Most people, when they're buying new construction, they're so excited because they're buying a new home. They're really excited about it. They're not thinking about asking the what ifs that a professional, like if they were guided by a professional, they might be able to find that stuff out. But the thing that just made me laugh is that it was
It's only
supposed to be
a few months.
completed in June, and they're suing. Now,
So was I
this
right then?
project
The lender says they're on time?
no, the lender's still.
I mean, the builder, sorry.
The builder's saying that they're projected to hopefully finish sometime in 2025 is
Hopefully.
what they're doing.
2025.
And looking at the photos, they've come a long way, but it looks like there's a lot of work to be done, right? Some of it looks like shell only at this point. But I just thought that was really interesting. I read that they were suing so quickly after it didn't close. I was thinking to Jimmy and what we learned, because you actually hired an attorney to go over every single single line of that contract.
I mean, plus your own expertise,
Right.
just knowing and looking to make sure that we had all our I's dotted and T's crossed. But that kind of jumped out at me, and there's nothing you can do about it. And by the way, the time frame too on building the house, keep in mind too, that was a spec home. So it was already started by the time I bought it. Right. So it's not like I went to them and that thing. I mean,
that's
that point,
when it normally takes about 9 months, Mike. That's what I hear from most of the builders, about 9 months from
These
ground.
people might be suing because they got to their anticipated close date and the thing isn't even close to being done.
Well, that's probably true. They're
Yeah.
probably thinking, what the heck? This is so far off.
In my experience, those builder contracts, they're always, it's almost like what you were talking about earlier, where they're trying to scam it's not a scam, but they're basically definitely builder friendly contracts, and all the protections are for the builder, including like something like a loan commitment date, right? Where you're supposed to get apply for and get approved for your financing. Otherwise, and if you don't close after that date, your earnest money deposit is defaulted.
Remember
right?
that guy that called us on the show a couple months ago, and he lost $35,000 deposit?
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Because by the time that they finished the house, his financial situation changed, and then he couldn't get the loan. And the builders said, you already waived your financing contingency.
Yeah, and they want that like done within 2 weeks of signing the application, and you're not going to be built for 9 months. And that's one of the things that always like bugs me about that. Like the builders would do that one. It seems a little predatory to me, because even if you get approved now, like things can change, and so. How much money you're putting at stake, you want it to be as little as possible. In my experience, though, you're not able to, redline any of these clauses in these builder contracts, right, Jim? You can't go through and be like, oh, that paragraph, we're cutting that out. Where, we need to add this addendum.
They won't even let you do an appraisal or inspection.
Yeah.
Actually, you can do an inspection, but they don't really want to be involved in it most of the time.
Yeah. And I'm sure each builder is a little bit different.
Yes.
And in our particular situation, I had one of two options. I could either hire an inspector, or I could do a walkthrough with the
builder's inspector.
Right. Yeah. We can't do both.
Oh.
Now, somebody after the fact told me that they can't do that, but I don't know. That's a legal thing that I don't want to answer. You're better off with an attorney.
And to be fair, your builder was very communicative with you through the whole process. I was very surprised. Builder, very good local builder.
Yeah, they were.
What I really liked is how they gave you updates with pictures and telling you exactly where the construction is and where you are at that point and what was going to happen next, right?
Sure. They had a matter of fact, they had a portal that once we signed a contract with, we could go on there at any time. And I mean, daily they would put up new photos and everything. So we could see the progress.
Yeah,
with it.
I
And
was
that's why
very impressed with
it
that.
seemed very fast. I mean, it feels like it was like August and July, August and September. I mean, they had the frame up and the pad poured, the frame up and the roof on, and it's such a short period of time. It was finishing the interior that took the most amount of time.
There's not a lot of, or we don't see a lot of like fly by night builders around here. So the builders that are doing it around here, especially the local guys, they do it successfully, and they're successful for a reason, because they make the process good, right? They want this buying a home thing, regardless of some of the stuff that we talk about, like it should be a super happy process, a happy ending for people, right? Like you're buying a house, celebrate, pop the champagne type of thing. And so we strive to make that the experience for people. So even the builder ones, as much as they have these contracts and whatever, they want you to be happy.
Sure.
And you are happy, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure you love that house. Beautiful home.
Absolutely. And matter of fact, that's what we're going through right now. You talk about inspection, the 11-month inspection. So we just did that, and I'm going through the process of getting a couple things checked out and make sure that, again, the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed.
Yeah.
And,
I mean,
get
that's
that
what
all
it's there
done
for.
within the 1
The
year
house has
warranty.
sold up well in the year.
Yeah,
It's
very
sold up
well.
very well.
Done very well.
So hold on a second. You get an 11-month inspection on a new construction. You basically get to like go through and be like, "Hey, this is effed up. This is effed up." And they come in and fix it. And make it right.
So in our particular case, you got a 1-year warranty with the house where there's a lot of things that are covered. It's just like a car, right? I mean, you get a short warranty for some things, and you get a longer one for like the powertrain and things like that. So we still have a major one, like the structural,
foundation.
That's a 10-year warranty, but you get a 1-year warranty for a lot of the little stuff, right? And I'll just put it that way, because I mean, I could take 20 minutes to try to nitpick all of them. But the idea is, so at about the 10 or 11th month mark, you get an inspection done so that somebody can come in. That's what we wanted to do, a professional to come in and see, okay, is there a problem here? Is there a problem there? Is there something that they can fix there that's within the warranty? That's all. It was something that we just wanted to do. You don't have to do it,
excellent.
But we decided to do that. So
very cool.
Thought it was the smartest way to handle that.
I didn't realize that was a thing when it came to new construction. It's cool to know that it is.
Sure.
Florida Talk Real Estate is .com, your one-stop real estate shop. You have a team of pros, experts in their field at the one-stop real estate shop that is FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So I read something that made me laugh, and it also made me think of Johnny, because there's people. I read a couple articles where people are talking about reinflation, right? Now, we've talked about inflation. We've talked about stagflation. Stagflation is when you have low GDP, high unemployment, and high interest rates, right? High inflation, right? High unemployment and low economic growth, low GDP, right? So that means just you're in a malaise, right? But now they're worried about reinflation, which is something that all three of us have talked about a lot over the time. So when we were debating amongst us about whether the Fed should cut the rate, this is, let's say, a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, should the Fed cut the rate? Should the Fed cut the rate? At least 2/3 of us usually would always be on the side of don't cut the rate, because inflation is too high. And cutting the rate, what are you going to do? You're just going to speed everything up again. You're just going to overheat it again. You're going to
reinflate.
You're going to reinflate.
There we go.
And now there's some people are on the side that, if the Fed cuts the rate again, right, in November, are we going to be feeling a reinflation situation? And then if that happens, we're talking about that bumpy road that I've talked about all the time, that we'd be going up and down and up and down and not knowing where the soft spot was. What do you guys think? Do you think if the Fed cuts the rate again in November, even a quarter point, do you think that's going to spur enough consumer activity? Because the consumer spending is supposedly at a very low point for what we've seen over the last couple of years.
I think it comes down to, like, do you trust that the Fed knows what they're doing, number one, and number two, that their public the publicized mandate is what they're really after, like their goal, right? So is their goal unmotivated by anything other than what their mandate is, which is to make sure the U.S. economy is healthy, right?
Yeah, right. That
Like,
should be.
is there political?
Yeah,
thing?
I try not to wade into those waters too much because I think they do a really good job of staying non-political.
Okay, so if you buy that, then you just have to trust that they know what they're doing, and so if they're dropping it again, there's got to be some reason for that. Now you can put on your cynical hat or your skeptical hat or whatever it is, and be like, oh, I see why it is. But,
so what I often use as like one of my variables when it comes to like how I assess my viewpoint of how things are moving forward, it's my mailings. What are they fishing for? For somebody like me, that upper white trash, got a home, can afford a few things, lease a car, like to do some things, buy concert tickets, take the family on trips. Like,
you sound like solid middle class to me, John.
Yeah, all right.
I don't think
it's upper white trash. I'm telling you right now.
I have fun of himself.
I have Christmas lights.
You have a pool.
I have Christmas lights.
You
in
have
my
an
house.
in-ground pool. I've got the
You
above
got
ground
a cement pond.
I got Christmas lights in my house 24/7. That's upper white trash. I have a 6-foot Pennywise animatronic in my living room.
Do you keep trees up too? Do you keep the trees up?
But the trees will be up till like February.
Okay. Sorry, I got off track.
Total upper white trash. So I like to pay attention to my mailing.
All right.
What are they fishing for in the mail?
What are you getting?
You know what hasn't been, and it's been a long time. You know what hasn't been showing up? The balance transfer stuff. Hey, 0% interest, transfer your balance. 0%.
Sure.
Okay, that's been dead.
Okay.
What we're getting a lot of now is consolidate your debt. Consolidate your debt. Consolidate your debt.
Yeah.
So Americans, we spend money we don't have. And I know I'm never making a blanket statement. I'm just talking collectively. We spend money we don't have on credit, right? That's what we do. It's how we stay in the constant consumption mode that we're in. And then we play the cycle. Well, as the interest rates have gone up for our credit cycle, and we've maxed out over the last few years so much of our credit availability. And again, no blanket statement, but there's plenty not in their heads right now. That you know what your balances are, right? You're like, I still got some room, but yeah, you know what your balances are. I'm seeing that's that breaking point right there where they're like, how can we make more room for people to spend? Because they're not making more money. The only way they're going to spend more is to get more room on their credit, right? So what are they doing right now? Try to get them to consolidate to free up other room. If that doesn't happen, I don't know where the freeing up is for people to continue to spend.
Yeah,
so something has to give.
How do you you could tap into savings, right? But I think the bottom line is like, how can you find more money to continue the spending habits that you've gotten used to?
Well, because that's the whole point, right? They want to control inflation so that we continue to spend at the rate that we were spending at.
Right.
But if we're all again, I say we, and it sounds like a blanket.
Collectively,
if so many we are already kind of to the threshold where we're like, that's about our max that we can handle. You got to give us room somewhere. So now the mailers are consolidate your debt. You can get more room to spend.
A lot of people, they have equity in their home, right? So that's a savings account. It's difficult to tap into, but it's there, right?
I'm
so
not
it's
seeing a lot of refi stuff yet.
It's not refi, it's home equity products.
So right? I have noticed some of those dropping in lately.
Although with the, one of the other narratives with the Fed rate drop, like in the mortgage industry is like, oh, get ready for this refi boom. Like, remember the refi boom in 2021?
Oh, if the interest rate hits the right spot, you and I both know that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to come. And people will be looking to do cash out there because that's one way of consolidating debt, right? And home equity, I'm getting a lot of calls about home equity, and you guys know that's not like my main thing, right? Like my main is your 30-year fixed rate conventional FHA, but home equity products are typically the world of the brick and mortar, kind of like your banks or credit unions, but they have stricter requirements than normal. And sometimes people who are looking to consolidate have high credit card balances. Maybe they're struggling to make payments. And so all of a sudden the credit isn't where it needs to be for home equity. And so then it's like, well, what options do I have?
Well, and it's such a slippery slope too, because when your maturity on your HELOC comes, that can be a big bubble for you if you're not positioned. And again, if you're choking on all your other debt and you're barely trying to get by, that as an option is an option, but man, you have to be very responsible in your every.
You gotta be careful, and you're oftentimes, you're dipping into this equity position, which it's nice to have that equity position. It's not, for me, it's not the end of the world, right? Because you don't control it. Like the market controls how much equity you have. But if you tap into it when the market is high, if the market comes down even a little bit, all of a sudden you have lost equity position, right? Because you grabbed it while it was there, but then your value comes down, and now all of a sudden you're maxed out on the value of your home.
Yeah.
So you definitely have to be careful with it. But I'm definitely getting a lot, more calls than normal about, hey, I'm trying to get home equity. Okay, well, have you looked at your local bank, credit union, whatever? Yeah, they're having trouble. It's like, okay, well, I have some options. They're not great, right? Not ideal, but maybe if this is your only option, maybe this is what you got to do.
Now you will, in these consultations, you'll assess their need, your desire, what's your end game, what's your plan.
Yeah.
Are these calls, are they for home improvement or are they for consolidation?
I would say consolidation.
More.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and take the last break.
Okay.
And then on the flip side, we're going to take a look at the real estate MLS just to see if there's been any changes there as far as activity, meaning more foreclosures, short sales, and more properties coming on the market or not.
Excellent.
Okay.
We've got about 25 minutes remaining for you on this Saturday. It's great to have you with us. Of course, we're going to get you up into the locker room before you know it. And we got another nice long segment. You're welcome to join us. 877-927-6969. You can dial in right now. 4-minute break. We'll get to your call. Of course, if you're not comfortable on the radio, believe me, I understand. One day I may be. You can always go to FloridaTalkRealEstate.com, your one-stop real estate shop. You get them all. The pros at FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. We're back in 4. That's right. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 minutes from now. It's Florida Talk Real Estate right here. Oh, he's on a raft. It's Real Radio.
The visual aid you need for all the freaky stuff we talk about on the radio. Find it at realradio921.com. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
From the Gordon and Partners Weather Center, have you or a loved one been injured through no fault of your own? Call 561-333-3333 or go to fortheinjured.com.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. Hot and humid conditions in the forecast today with a chance for scattered showers once we get to about mid-afternoon. A heat advisory is in effect from 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. this evening for Palm Beach County. Drink your water and take breaks from the sun. Tomorrow we're a little hotter and also a little drier in the afternoon.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with cash back match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paul A. Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real talk for the Palm Beaches and the Treasure Coast. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
877-927-6969. About 20 minutes remaining for this portion of the Saturday. Of course, that'll be your toll-free number rolling on through for the locker room as well. Great to have you with us. Remember, Florida Talk Real Estate is .com. Know it, use it, love it, share it. And you can consume lots, including a live stream every Saturday, Florida Talk Real Estate on Facebook. And remember the YouTube page as well. That's Florida Talk Real Estate, LLC. Johnny C, well, that's me. Jimothy's our producer extraordinaire. What's up, my dude?
Hello, and a good morning.
Good morning. There's Mike Rao, the mortgage guy from the mortgage firm. How are you?
Good.
Always a pleasure.
Happy South Florida.
Nice.
Yeah. It's going to be hot this week.
Is it?
I think so. 90s.
Oh, all right. Nice.
Yeah. Maybe not so much rain or probably continued rain. Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
It's possible.
Probably still have rain.
Yeah. Hey, I'm down.
Sorry, we'll take it.
Humidity's been nice lately. Granted, I don't work outside, so it's easy for me to say, but humidity's been pretty all right lately.
I think it's been humid.
Yeah?
That's my feeling.
Huh.
Who's been outside?
Oh, I'm outside a lot. I just don't work outside.
No.
And I drive around. So here's how I always gauge it. I drive around without my AC, windows down, music up.
Most of the time?
Yeah, most of the time.
Okay.
And when it's way too humid, the windows come up and the AC goes on. So it's been down a lot lately.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I would say I rarely have the windows down. Huh. Mostly AC.
An AC kind of guy.
Yeah.
That's all right. Teach their own.
Yeah.
You like it a little chilly.
Definitely.
How do you like it, Jimmy D? There's Jim DePola, our fearless leader. Of course, you can find him with Keller Williams Innovations, Florida Home Pros team. Hot.
No,
cool.
Jim's an AC.
I've been stuck in the house for a week. I don't even know.
No, but when you drive around, typically.
I always have the AC on. I have to.
Yeah.
And I drive, minimum 100 miles a day. I put about 3,000 miles on my.
That's the way my
car
wife
every
and my
month.
little girl are. Like I crank the car and they turn the air on immediately. I'm like, jeepers, can't even. What are we doing?
Well, when you walk in and it's 101 in your car. Hey, Greg. Greg just called us. Called me. I'll call you right off the air. One of the customers. So thanks,
Nice.
Greg, for calling.
Thanks, Greg.
I just wanted to do we started this a couple months ago, but I think I'm going to make this maybe not a weekly thing, but I'd like to bring it up a lot. You remember when I started looking at how many properties were for sale on the MLS, on our local MLS? I did this a few months ago, and then we would compare how many foreclosures and short sales were there.
Yes.
Well, I'm seeing a little trend here, just watching myself do this every week. Is a couple months ago, when I started this, we were at 47,000 homes for sale or properties for sale in the MLS area. Okay. The MLS area isn't just one county. It's this huge geographic area, part of big chunk of Florida. 47,000 properties for sale. Okay. Then I remember we checked back a couple weeks later, it was 48,000, right? Blah, blah, blah. And then another week it was 48,000 again. And then I saw 49. We're at 50,361. Now, I'm not saying that's high or low because I don't have a baseline to work off of. But what we are seeing is when I started doing this 3 or 4 months ago, we've seen 47,000.
So inventory increase.
About 5% increase in inventory.
It's great for buyers.
Right? Yeah. I'm telling you, it's a great time for buyers right now. The interest rates are lower. You know, we screw the Fed rate cut. Get that out of your mind. We're at the lowest rates for 2 years, the 6.0.
Yeah, for anybody thinking they didn't get a benefit from the Fed rate, no, we got the benefit. It just happened over the last 2 months instead of just on from Wednesday to Thursday.
Right. We've been watching this slide. And if you've been listening to the show, we've been telling you how healthy the interest rates have been dropping over time. And when they were high, we told you that too, right? We're not sitting here trying to sell you something. We're trying to tell you what's going on so you can make the proper decision for you and your family. Now, out of the 50,000 homes, right, we've had roughly 3,000 more active properties for sale since we started this little exercise, right? So
based on your memory, which you're saying is a little foggy, right?
So foreclosures and short sales are 289.
Now that number,
part hasn't changed hardly at all.
Well, I remember when it was like 8 at some point.
Oh no, but when we started this 47,000, it was about 200 foreclosures, 80 short sales, right? I really think, here's my big prediction. I think we're going to get back into the short sale market again. Let me tell you how. Okay. All about the condos. It's going to be all about the condos. Okay. Think about this. And we're going to go way deeper into this. I found a consultant that specializes in all that condo construction stuff and everything. We're going to have him on as a guest.
Nice.
We're trying to see if he's going to fly in and meet with us. He's from Ohio. He's going to sit down and do a show with us, which would be great.
What does he know about Florida condos?
Well, he does a lot of work down here, and he's helped condo groups collectively sell all the units to developers so they could just take it over.
Okay.
They also do consulting on the best ways for the community to handle their situation, not just sell the whole thing kit and caboodle, but how to fix whatever they need to do financially and stuff like that.
Sell so the project because of it's gone too far, so you sell the whole thing and then they build a new
condo.
Are
8 or 9 I know in Miami and Broward that have done that. That's already happening. It's happening right now. It's going to continue to happen. But I think what's going to happen is that how are people that have a mortgage on their property and their condo fees are raising, their insurance is raising, and then they have to pay on top of the raising condo fees, assessments on top of it to deal either with the reserves that they need to do the construction or the engineering reports or the construction itself. I don't see how that's going to work for a bunch of people. I've been talking to a lot, bless you. I've been talking to a lot of people who are really desperate and don't know what to do. They don't want to give up their house. But I think a lot of those people.
And it's hard to give it up. Right.
A lot of these people were seniors that this is where they thought they were going to live for the rest of their lives. And also the equity that they had in their condos was really nice cushion for them.
It was.
Now all that's taken away from them.
And when I say it was hard, sometimes it's very difficult to even sell.
Well, that's what I think's going to have to happen is I think that some of these people are not going to be able to pay the assessments. The condo is going to have to foreclose on them. Right. So in order to avoid all that, what you could do is, because the bank has still got the mortgage, even if the condo forecloses and you have a mortgage, the bank's still got to be dealt with.
First position.
So it might
be that condo can foreclose on you quicker than the bank, right?
Yes. Yeah. And they need the money. And they have state regulations that they got to comply with. And if you're not helping them comply with it, you're a problem to them. And they might not even want to do it, but they might be forced to do it. Right. So I'm thinking what's going to happen is, based on all our expertise of doing short sales and loan mods and, foreclosure defense through the years on the show, what I see happening is people basically go to the bank and say, hey, I can't afford this $70,000 assessment that's coming up. I can't, I'm on fixed income. I can't sell my house. because nobody wants to buy it because of the $70,000 assessment. I put it on the market. This is what I can get. Mr. Lender, please take less than what is owed as payment in full. It's going to be one of those deals again.
Yeah.
And I really think that's coming. I don't know how long. This might be a long, slow, drawn out thing before it happens. But I think there's a lot of people that are going to be using a short sale as a defense to deal with all of this stuff.
There has to be a willingness from the bank, though, for that to be the game.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but the alternative is to foreclose.
And then the bank's
right?
stuck with it,
Yes,
and then
and-
they're stuck with the assessments. If I can get an investor or a buyer to come in and say, hey, I'll pay for that $70,000 investment, but I'm not paying this for the condo, right? And then they take a lower price for the condo.
And just wash their hands of it.
And then the bank could just go, glad I got out of that one,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
That's what I think can
Good
happen.
point.
But it's not going to be happy times for a lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah.
And as far as like condo financing, like that it's gotten easier in some respects, but also gotten more difficult in some respects. So like the thing with the we're looking at those inspections, right? The 40-year inspections. We're looking at the condo board's meeting minutes to see if they've discussed any like maintenance, long-term maintenance issues. State of Florida has put in some mandates now as far as reserves, and so people are. It's almost like anybody who has their mortgage, has their taxes, insurance escrowed, and they got hit with that double whammy one year where it was like, oh my God, I've been short, and my numbers went up, so you got to increase double. Like it's the same thing with these condo assessments. Not only do the assessments have to go up to meet the reserve requirements to to kind of catch up on can kicking and from years past, but also this deferred maintenance, and especially if that deferred maintenance includes big projects, big costly projects, and so they're getting double, triple, quadruple whammied on their association dues, and it's just killing them. Even if you didn't have a mortgage, if you're fixed income or just even stable income, and all of a sudden this cost of living is going up 3-4 times, like what are you supposed to do?
And
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, it's going to be really very interesting to see what happens in this market, the condo market in Florida, which is something like, I forget, what did they say? Like 38% of all the homeowners are condo owners or something like that. It's like a tremendous amount of people.
Really?
I'm going to have to go back and double check that, but it's a super high percentage and made me go, wow, when I saw it. Now,
I would have guessed like 20%.
Yeah.
Like South Florida?
For all of Florida.
Really?
38% of all of Florida is like
Holy
in condos, but
smokes.
most of it's south, like the great majority are
Where the people are.
southern, East Coast, West Coast.
And coastal.
Yeah,
I mean, you could
yeah.
almost say, but
Now, if you're in trouble with your condo and you need help with it, we're the people to give a call, because we're not going to force you to do anything. I've already met a whole bunch of these condo owners that are in this dire strait. This is why I'm saying it, because I'm seeing it in real life. And what I'm telling them is, I don't think there's an avenue for you to sell right now. And I haven't even brought up the short sale words yet. I haven't even talked to them about yet, but I think that some of them, that's the only option that they're going to have. So if you're thinking about just like taking your keys to your condo and moving out and then just leaving the keys in the condo, go, I'm done. Do what you ever want to do to me. I'm not making the mortgage payment anymore. I'm not paying the condo fee anymore. And I'm getting the heck out of town. Don't do that. The worst thing you do is just walk away from everything, stick your head in the hole. Me and Johnny talked about that how many years when we started. So
I just while you're on this, I always feel like, so again, when I think of the condos, they're in my mind, they're filled by, as you noted, people that plan like, this is where I'm going to live out my days. They were hoping that they could kind of be in more of a fixed type situation. And that's the real problem, right? With all the costs mounting, it's harder and harder to stay in when your income's fixed. But in my mind, I've always kind of positioned it to where the vast majority of the aging or elderly that are in these condos are probably in a position where they don't owe a ton. Am I making that on my own?
No, but when you get hit with a $70,000 assessment.
But so the reason I bring it is, why do they have to get to the short sale stage? Because if they don't owe a ton, they could sell it on their own without the bank having to agree.
Nobody wants to pay.
But
I'm sorry. You say if they own it outright.
Right.
Yeah, they don't have
or they owe so little.
It'll depend on the
They just have to
communities.
get it in their mind. I have to take way less than what I bought it for.
That part could be true.
But you're going to have to do that anyway if you get to a short sale.
But
Right.
there is a lot of people who aren't like that demo, Johnny, who live in condos, right? So they did get a mortgage to buy their condo. They did it, maybe even with low down payment. So I've done a ton of condos through the years from, all categories of life. So there's a lot of people who have financed condos, right?
Yeah.
Who would be, of course, if you don't have a mortgage, you're not looking at a short sale.
It's
There's
very short-sighted of me to think that all the condos are filled with 80 and 90-year-olds.
Yeah.
That's just not the reality. But for those that are maybe on a more fixed income, I feel like if they're waiting to get to the position in the short sale, if they're in a position where they don't owe a ton anyway.
Yeah. I think maybe the message is you can't put your head in the sand. So if you're in trouble one way or the other, if the financial obligations are, crunching you so much that you're getting desperate, you got to figure out something. So, I think the big issue, let's say you don't have a mortgage, but all of a sudden your costs have gone up. Well, even if you could sell it, what are you replacing it with? Where are you going? What's the next step?
That's what I'm saying. It's scary. It's very, very scary to me to see what's going to be happening with that. The reason why anybody listening that's getting freaked out about this is losing their sleep at night. They don't know what's going on. You got to call us. Why? I'm not just saying it out of personal value, but because we have the team to help you. We have a finance guy, Mike. We've got the lawyers at the law office of Paola Krasker to help us with you. And then you have the real estate. So you have the three prongs there to have all the different options in one place. If you go to certain people and they only specialize in one thing, they're only going to give you one options. We give you a waterfall of options. And the first question I'm going to ask you, do you want to keep the condo or do you want to sell the condo? That's the first thing we got to ask, right?
Sure.
And then we try to work based on what you need from that point.
But as you say, if you go to somebody that can only do one thing for you, if you go to a bankruptcy attorney, he's going to talk you into bankruptcy.
That's what happened to me a long time ago.
And
It happened to me a long time ago.
Not only the right pieces in place, the right team members, but also the amount of experience you have in that distressed style market. I mean, that's where you made your bones, right? You cut your teeth.
Yeah, that's how I started real estate. Basically, was in the worst market.
Well, you're well aware of what a short sale market looks like.
Oh yeah. And we understand where you're coming from, and we understand you. We're not judging you. This is not your fault. This is years and years of neglect from condo boards and new regulations that are coming in and insurance that is, rearing up its ugly head that we didn't expect.
That's right.
So if you have any issues, we're your people.
FloridaTalkRealEstate.com. FloridaTalkRealEstate.com.
So because I'm shot and I'm done for the show today, I know we only got 3 minutes. What do you think is going to happen with the quarterback situation with the Dolphins?
It's time for Tyler Huntley, isn't it? I mean, it's
do you
Huntley
think so?
time.
I heard Skylar's playing on Monday.
I don't understand why. If you sign Huntley,
right,
play Huntley. If
Okay.
Skylar's not performing, put the guy in that you signed. See what you can do.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't understand why you keep hitting your head against the wall. But it's rough for Dolphin fans right now. But it's no better.
How do they make that the Monday Night Football game?
Well, that's anticipation.
I know. I'm teasing. It's like that's the Monday Night Football game. And I'm a Dolphin fan, guys. Oh, and I might as well say this: Mercury Morris passed.
Yeah.
And I
Rest in
talked to
power,
Mercury Morris
man.
just recently. We talked about this on the show. There was a barbecue guy I knew, and I was over at his place, and he knows all the 72 Dolphins. And I told him I was a Dolphin fan. And he's like, "Who would you like to talk to right now?" And I didn't know what to. I didn't know who I was going to ask, like Larry Zonka, Jim
Marino,
Kidd.
Marino all day.
No, 72 Dolphins.
Oh, it had to be a
72 Dolphins. So I said, well, I'm a big fan of Mercury Morris. He goes, I'll pick up the phone and call him right now. And he was such a nice guy. He was getting into the shower when the phone call came.
That's awesome.
And the guy's on the phone. He's like, hey, Mercury, I need you to talk to this gentleman. And he's like, well, I'm getting a shower. Can I call you back in a little bit? He goes, no, talk to him right now. And then he hands me the phone.
Interesting.
Anyway, it was kind of.
You hear the water
I was
running.
a big 72 fan. Yeah. So, God bless you, Mercury Morris. Enjoyed you when I was a kid, watching you all those years, and I hear from all the reporters, all like the Sun Sentinel, Miami Herald reporters, that you were like a really great guy. So,
well, and he's the one that kind of, he really waved the banner all the time. He popped the champagne when the last team, last undefeated lost. Like he really, really was the captain of the undefeated ship for sure.
And I can tell you this, even towards the end, he was a very happy guy because he sounded very happy that day. So God bless him. Anyway, are we done? I'm so shot. I'm so shot.
Bye, Jim. Just
I never say this.
Start
I'm
packing
shot.
up. Yeah. Yeah, but yes, it is pretty much officially done with our portion. What do you got going on this weekend, Mike? Anything exciting?
I'm getting on a plane later on today.
Really?
Right. Oh, where you going?
Is he going to take off somewhere? Or are you just going to
Yeah, no, I'm
Sit on the
actually
tarmac.
headed to Iowa.
Iowa?
Yep.
Oh, right.
Got family in Iowa.
You going to visit some fam?
Yeah.
Good.
This is a good trip, a planned trip, or is this an
It's
unexpected
a celebration
Mhm.
Oh, good.
of life.
Fantastic.
Mhm. Oh.
Oh,
Yeah.
Highest highs and
Yeah.
lowest lows.
Well, they're celebrating.
yeah, yeah.
So it's not the best case scenario, but
Celebrating a long, happy life.
well, that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. Well, sorry for your loss. I hope
Yeah.
you have safe travels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm sure there'll be lots of memories shared.
yeah. It's going to be good. You know how those things.
Oh
are.
yeah, there's tears, there's laughter,
Yeah, exactly.
and then everything in between.
Exactly.
Yep. Again, sorry for the reason, but safe travels. my
Yep.
friend.
Thank you.
And I hope you continue to feel better, Jimmy D.
Yeah, I'm going home and crashing. That's what I'm doing. I'm going home and crashing.
Anyway, keep feeling better.
Thanks.
Jimothy's gonna stick around and do the locker room, and then what are you doing, my man?
Let's see. I got a weekend full of honey-do list, so we'll be
Oh.
doing that.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Might maybe get an SJ out of it.
Yeah, sand job. Yeah, I plan on it.
Like on the honey-do list,
It's going to get a sandblast.
you're gonna get a sand job. That's right. Where I got Joe and Greek in the bullpen over there. Locker room is ready to go. Thank you very much for being with us every Saturday. Florida Talk Real Estate has been committed to this audience, helping you when you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, stuck with a home, you don't know what to do. And we thank you for all the support over the years. Obviously, we don't get to do this for 12 plus years on the radio if you guys don't support the team. So thanks for listening. Thanks for understanding that you have a remarkable resource with the pros at floridatalkrealestate.com. Know what you